Welcome to the online course Essentials of Youth Policy, organised by the partnership between the European Commission and the Council of Europe in the field of youth.
Hi, hello everyone. In this short video presentation, I'm going to share with you the experience of trying for the first time last year to make the MOOC Essentials of Youth Policy a face-to-face learning experience at local level in the city of Setúbal, involving civil servants, youth workers, young people, social workers in the city of Setúbal in Portugal. I tried to make this video short, clear, and with some practical tips that might be useful for you if you want to rock on an experience like this one in your own town, close to your community. My name is Ana Morgado, and for the past years I've been mainly working at grassroots level, directly and continuously with young people coming from various backgrounds, social and economic ones, and with a specific focus on young people living in poverty or from marginalized communities. By saying this, I mean that my work develops at local level, that is equivalent for me to say that it develops under a certain context that I decided to share with you here in 5 main points. So the work at local level in my reality is run by quite small organizations that are run by adults or young people working on projects that encapsulate human rights, social inclusion, young people's political participation, and gender equality as main spheres of action. The projects at local level are usually short in time and actually very few in financial resources. This actually brings another challenge, that is, they don't pay fairly to project managers, coordinators or educators, and organizations get trapped in priorities that actually don't correspond to their needs at local level in their own territories. So a lot of search for funding is done, and this is actually consuming entire teams that are small. Also, youth organizations in particular lack real recognition as partners in the territory when it comes to the development of policies. By this I mean that quite often organizations run by adults or public entities see youth organizations more as mobilizers of young people to bring young people to participate in some activities, and don't see them as actors with specific capacities, know-hows, rights, and also responsibilities to take part in the different phases of policy development, namely designing, implementing, evaluating, monitoring policies, strategies or programs with and for young people, targeting specifically young people. The other point that I want to bring to let you know more about my context is that youth work and its principles are not often recognized, and I risk to say very often unknown, and especially in territories with problems of violence or extreme poverty. This happens even more often, and the consequence of this is that quite often youth work falls under social work, losing part of its essence. And finally, one of the main features of working at local level as a youth worker is that as youth workers, most of the time we work without a supporting network at local level. It really doesn't exist, being formal or informal networks of youth workers. It doesn't really exist. We work without specific training, especially when our work falls and lives in this limbo between youth work and social work. And due to the very idiosyncrasy of political and social nature of some territories, the organization, especially the ones run by adults and quite settled in their communities, lack, from my perspective, the vision and the capacity to see the benefits of connecting local and European youth work. So from my perspective, the combination of these 5 factors that I previously mentioned has a strong and direct impact in 2 main aspects that I connect with this MOOC, which is the lack or weakness of the political dimension of youth work, and consequently on the sustainability and impact of actual youth policies. This context that I've just shared with you was basically the trigger, the reason why I decided to invest the time and the energy to make this hub on local policies connected with the MOOC. After I saw the MOOC last year when it was launched, I thought, how can I make this MOOC usefully, not only for me, but for the organization I'm working with and for the territory where I'm working. So I thought to share with you also in this video some of my thoughts and actions. You can see it also in the script and also in the PowerPoint that is shared with that. So I started by asking to myself how familiar was my organization, the organization I was working with, and its staff members, how familiar they were with the topic of youth policies, and if they could find a potential interest in having a course and participating in engaging a course like this. So I came to the conclusion that they could potentially be interested to get more involved in this topic by 3 main reasons. The organization has been previously involved in policy making, even if it was in different topics. So they understood what it means. They were working with young people directly in different projects with different approaches, but still they were working with young people, so they had an understanding of how policies were, or the lack of them, were affecting their work and the lives of young people. And finally, they had a long and good relationship with the city council. So the next question to me was basically, having this potential interest, how could I make it happen? So I made my to-do list for making this happen. I started by presenting to the organization the main reasons for them to engage in the online course. You can see these reasons in the PPT as well. And I found also an internal ally, someone inside the organization that has been shown interest and verbalized the will to do the course with me. So with this person, I was able to discuss the main reasons for us to make the course together, and how could it be useful for other youth workers of the community and the region. We also discussed the potential of having more youth workers engaging in it and creating a common space for us to learn from each other. We came up actually with a list where we could assess our needs, what we wanted from this space and what we didn't want from it. So essentially, what we wanted was to create a space, a learning space of dialogue, where we could use the knowledge fostered by the course that was, of course, more general and transnational, and bringing this European perspective, and reflect about it with the lenses of our local work and in contact with young people. In the long perspective, we had an idea of creating a network of youth workers in the region to support policy development in the field of youth, to potentiate the space to discuss the priorities for municipalities together. By the end of all these discussions, we launched a call to reach out different people, and by using social media, email, phone contacts, and aiming at engaging youth workers from various city councils and from youth organizations, young activists, educators, teachers, and everyone who was potentially interested in the topic and has had the willingness and openness to discuss with peers by listening, by debating from different points of view, from different needs, from different experiences and approaches as well. After launching the call, what really happened is that we got some people interested in that, and strategically what we decided to do was to select some inputs coming from the course, the MOOC, and to adapt them to reflect about our reality. During the first session, we aimed discussing mainly our perception about youth in the region, their rights, their struggles, as well as our struggles and challenges and opportunities and rights as youth workers. So we were basically making this map of perceptions, and we also debate other questions like if it's important or not to talk about youth policies at local level, why not, local youth policies for whom, what kind of audience, what kind of target group, which actors should be involved with which roles, what issues should contribute the core of youth policies at local level. So after this session, we organize all the results of it, and we sent back to the ones that participated and to the other ones that were invited but they didn't come, asking them for their comments and inputs. After some time, we launched the second session, and basically in the second session we had less people. We used the same channels, but we thought that we had less people, but the ones that were truly interested in this. So we got some youth workers from our municipalities, and also youth workers coming from other organizations from the region, and with them exploring the design of youth policies and the actors, and how could we involve and connect the local actors to reflect about youth policies. So not only on the how to develop the youth policies, but how we can bring those actors to discuss the development of youth policies. So in this second session, after these discussions, we decided that would be an added value, that another organization took over and took the lead in organizing the next session in their town, in their city, so that they could actually involve and bring other people, and maybe we could overcome transportation challenges that some people mentioned, that's why they couldn't attend these two meetings, for example. So after this second session, we stop, and just now, after a year, a certain continuation of this process was just launched. At local level, you know, things can also take a long time. This continuation of the process that I was just mentioning to you before is not directly connected with this edition of the course anymore, but it is now motivated by the underlying idea of creating a network in the region involving youth workers and involved in creating a space of dialogue and discussion on youth policies. This session that is going to happen is actually being led by another local organization, and under the name of ALTED, Network of Non-Formal Education, Ideas and Projects. Ideas, Practices and Projects, sorry. This initiative is led by Rato ADCC, which is a local organization also working at local level directly with young people, and will aim, as they mentioned, to be a space for meeting and sharing among people who believe that the exchange of experiences is one of the best forms of personal and professional enrichment, and that collaborative work is a source of inspiration. In terms of the municipality that they participated in both sessions, they sent 2 youth workers to the meetings. They clearly understand the need of having this type of space, and they continue to contact us and to encourage us to proceed with this work. At the moment, we couldn't respond positively to them. We are in the process of rethinking how to give to this platform, to this work that we started, a bit more of structure and sustainability. I would like to conclude this video by sharing with you some lessons that I learned. So one is that it is, to starting a process like this, it's really important to have an ally, to have an internal support from your organization to take small ideas and scale them up in the community. Then it's very important to define clearly what are the main reasons for making it happen. So please list individual reasons, organizational and community needs for this to happen. Celebrate also small wins. Thank those who join the sessions and work even if only a small group of people join you. The course itself, the MOOC, shouldn't be used as IKEA instructions, so give personality to it, bring your personality to it. It is important also to reflect together with a colleague about the reality and how to connect the inputs, the knowledge that is being shared in daily life, at work. Discussions are enriched with more stakeholders that you have. Even if maybe some discussions are very technical, it's very important to have young people involved in those discussions, because we as youth workers, if we are not young anymore, we are just bringing a perspective, and it's important to have young people to bring their view and to make this connection, and understand the gaps between what is our perception also as youth workers and the reality lived by young people. Then it is essential to have a discussion about the immediate aims and the long-term ones, and to share it transparently with the participants. The aims connected with this, the aims of the hub should also be openly discussed with the ones that are participating in the first session, because this will allow us to clearly define a roadmap with the people for the next steps. Use personal and professional networks to involve participants. And finally, while running the sessions, it's important that you have someone that has some facilitation skills to do it. So to conclude the video, I would like to encourage you to do your own to-do list, to write down your own to-do list, and to start off with an ally from your community, from your organization, not only to enjoy the course itself, but also to make it more tangible within your own realities. So thank you everyone for listening, thank you for your time and for your interest. I hope it was useful for you, and good luck with the next steps. Bye.
We hope this video contributed to your learning about youth policy.